Welcome back.
Welcome back. We are at episode 2 of How to Survive Your Remodel. Dulcie Horowitz, Ryan Baer.
Still me.
Still you.
Still me.
This episode is all about developing your program either within yourself or with your partner. And
what does program mean to you?
Oh, good question. So program could mean, it does mean what you want the remodel to do, sometimes functionally, how big you want it to be. And typically people are really good with that one. People come to me, they know how...
They've been thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah, they know how big the room should be, or they want a media room. They know the functions. They understand the functional requirements of what they want the remodel to do.
Right.
Sometimes they don't know what they want it to be like aesthetically or style-wise.
Right.
But this episode will actually address both. Again, I have to say, like we said with the budget, episode 1, you need to get on the same page. If you're doing this with a partner, you guys have to do the Spock mind-meld thing. You've got to get on the same page. Because if not, when you get into discussions or arguments later...
Or at least figure out what you don't agree upon going into it.
And have that well mapped and prioritized so that it won't be a surprise.
So we don't have to figure it out and drag it out of you.
Yes.
And then referee both sides, which happens every time.
I mean, Ryan and I have engaged, not that it's bad, it's actually kind of part of the process, but in a ton of marriage counseling, I would say, as we go through things, because any good couple is going to have 2 separate wants or needs or personality types.
Right.
Sometimes people are more budget-minded and this one's more design-minded or whatever.
And everyone's priorities are different. Out of this project, you want something, somebody else, their priorities are a little bit different.
Yes, exactly.
And you're probably, or sometimes you're not really sharing with each other. Sometimes you whisper things to us.
Yes.
Which is always fun to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Talk them into the pool.
Yeah.
I don't care about the garage remodel. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, I don't really like the skylights.
Like, great.
Yeah,
great.
Right. So that's actually not good to have happen later. So it's good to have those discussions now. So the very first thing you've got to do is everyone's got to write a list. Get it all out on paper. I know it sounds trite or like it's a gimmick.
We're parenting you a little bit.
Or we're being pedantic, but seriously, write it down. Like, get it all out on paper where it is concrete and there's a record, and just get it all out. This is your opportunity to just say your piece.
And a little bit, prioritizing those things is good. So
absolutely, that's the second step, is that once you have that whole list, put them into categories, and here's the hard part, but this is what will save people so much later. You gotta agree and prioritize them together.
Right.
Or even if you're doing it yourself, you still have to, within yourself, say which things are more important than others.
Right.
And this will save you when it's time and you can't spend money on that one thing you really wanted, but you will feel okay because all the things above it on the list, are more important.
Right. And if you haven't fleshed out, a lot of the details on finishes or other stuff that you've picked and we really don't know what it costs, some of those things are a hard sell where you have to have them, and some of them you might have to let go if budget becomes an issue.
Sure.
Like what's on the list that maybe is flexible.
Right.
Like what could you let go and what absolutely we have to have, so we can start with that and then see what happens, as the program progresses and the budget comes out and all that stuff.
Exactly. And it should save a lot of heartache, because what you are understanding is that you've already decided as a team that those first few things on the list were your most important. So it kind of will continue to engender good spirit between, even if you're just doing it yourself, that you're getting those first few things. Right.
And know that if there's stuff on the list that you're not willing to let go any of it, then you can't really have a budget.
Right.
I want all of this no matter what. Well, then it costs what it costs.
Right.
So.
And if you have the ability to do a project like that, my number is 805-66. We're more than happy to help you with that. But that's the thing, is that we all have to make choices. And so when you prioritize, it kind of makes you pre-make that choice. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you have to have some things and not others, what would they be? Right?
Exactly.
So then the second part of this would be, please make a binder of what you want aesthetically. So now you know what you want programmatically, you know what you want, like as far as, I've got to have a fireplace to do all that. You got to go out there and get a visual catalog. happening.
Yep.
Right? And we have so many resources these days. We have Houzz, we have Pinterest, we have, Instagram. We have all these places to go to where you can actually develop a digital catalog of all of the things that you like. And I have to say, this is absolutely critical. Some people say, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to limit my architect. I want my architect to be able to give me what they think. And I have to tell you that if anyone comes to me with a project, I could do 5 different things with their project. And you want to pay me to show you all of those 5 different things? Or I think that would be a waste of everybody's resources.
It's very expensive for us to figure out what you hate, what you love, why you like it or don't like it. Like a little bit of guidance goes a long way.
Exactly. And for my clients, if they haven't done this, I make them do it. My first meeting with them is I bring a whole bunch of architectural books, I sit them down, and I tell them, if you find something you hate, sometimes that's actually just as informative to me as if what you like. I don't know if it's like giving someone a Rorschach test or something like that, but why just throw darts blindly into the dark? But in any case, and it's also good for a client to go through, and these pictures that I have here on the screen, these are pictures that a client gave me recently for a kitchen remodel. They're doing a whole house remodel, but for her kitchen. And so she went through, and as I told her to do, and she picked out things, and then she gave notes at the bottom. And these are super helpful. Like the one on the left, it says, kind of like the wood wall of cabinets, especially if the ceilings are white. On the second photo, she said, all the thumbs up. She's kind of a cute, funny client. We love working with her, actually, yeah. And then on the last one, she said too far, I think. I think she means like the darkness and the modernness of it, but really nice colors and lines. She goes on to talk about the island, so on and so forth. These are when a client starts to think like that, critically, about what it is that they're looking at, you're already going to be able to do so much more for that client than someone who just blithely comes to me and says, we need an addition, do your best. Right? And also,
draw stuff and see if I like it.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
And it's not free.
And it takes a while. It takes a while to actually hit the nail on the head.
I have lots of questions about all 3, so I'm still confused.
Well, and the cool thing is that even if you're just doing it by yourself or if you're doing it with your partner, when you go through and you do this sort of investigation with your partner, again, it's a good team building exercise to do. So it actually ends up bringing a lot of things out into the open, and you will end up avoiding a lot of conflict later. And that should have been the fun part of what we were suggesting you do.
And you would think that that's what people would show up with.
Right. But they don't always know.
We want to spend a bunch of money.
Right.
We want it to look like this.
Right.
This is how we want to spend the money.
I got to be honest, 90% of my clients come to me with that. I'd say 1 out of every 10 don't. But as a builder, I imagine you get a higher percentage of people that don't do this at all. Right?
We get both sides.
Oh, you do?
We get the Pinterest account from one side.
Right.
And, the budget and schedule, and a lot of times the emotional side of, we want it to cost this much, we want it to take this long.
Right.
But someone else found a really pretty picture. Can we afford this?
Right.
Are these things going to work together?
Right.
Or not?
Well, and that's when you bring me on board and I
every time
do my thing. All right, so we have one more step to go, and that will be the next episode, which is all about schedule. Good
fun.
job, Ryan. I know.